Hello beautiful people and welcome to my channel. My name is Jennifer Diamond and I live a whole food plant exclusive lifestyle for health and well-being, which literally gave me my life back, and it can help improve your life too. And so I thought I would bring you along today and have you help me make a cabbage and apricot stir fry. Let's go. So I have a kind of a small cabbage that we're going to be working with, and I'm going to just weigh this just so you get an idea of about how much cabbage I'm going to be working with. And of course I haven't sliced it. The core piece in the middle that I'm not going to use is still in here, and it's just under 1.5 pounds, 1.470 pounds. So you get an idea. And what I'm going to do first of all is just start with an onion, and I already diced up this onion. This is a white onion. You can use any onion you want. I am going to use this one though because this is what I had. And so let's go ahead and heat up the pan. We are using no oil. That's right, you heard it here, no oil. And you can still be very successful in cooking a stir fry without oil. So one thing that I really like about this recipe, a lot of people don't talk about iron dishes. And this dish has a lot of pieces or ingredients that are high in iron. And iron is something that I need to watch to make sure that my iron is up. And so I thought it would be fun to make a stir fry with you guys that is high in iron and talk about all the components as we go along. So if you're new here, you might be thinking, what? How are you going to cook that with no oil? It's going to stick. No, it won't stick. And if it does start to stick, we can just add a tablespoon of clear filtered water, or if you have vegetable broth, I prefer the one with no oil or salt in it. You can use that, and that's it. So let me get this little bit of water here that I have, and that's how I check to see if my pan is hot. I'm just going to give it a quick splash. Oh yeah, it's ready. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this in right now. This is the onion. Get all the goodies right out of there. You can hear it already. I love the smell of cooked onion and cooking onion. I'm going to use my little spatula to get all the little pieces out. There we go. Now once it's hot and you add your onion, it's a good idea to bring the heat down. You don't need it all the way high. I like to put it on low to medium. Depends on how things operate in your kitchen. And I give it a little shake to kind of make it even across the bottom of the pan. I'm just going to let it do its thing. I tend to leave the lid cracked to the side a little bit so that any kind of moisture or steam can get out of there. And then while we're waiting for that, let's cut up our cabbage. We are going to be adding the cabbage in a little while. Here's the little button on the bottom. You can cut it out, but I'm just going to go ahead and slice this until I get there, and I'll go around it and I'll show you what I mean. So I want it to be kind of, thin slices, and you're welcome to use a food processor to do this. I'm just going to do it myself because it doesn't take too long. And here we go. You see that I'm starting to get this little piece in there. So I'm just going to take that out. And then I'm going to go ahead and take it out of this part by just cutting it in kind of a triangle shape, and just do your best to remove it. There you go. Now I can put that in my veggie scraps if I want, and then I'll just continue to making the slices right here. Always be careful of your fingers. We like them on our hands, don't we? So there you go. You can see this is all sliced very nicely. And then what I might do in addition to that is just kind of take half of it and just roughly cut it down so that it's more like strips. And you can do it however you want. I just want it to eventually be more of like a bite size. And so I just thought we would cut the actual cabbage up together. Look, if you don't have, you know, this green or white kind of cabbage and you have a purple one, you could use that. The reason that I steer away from the purple cabbage in this recipe is because it does tend to make the pan and all the ingredients purple, which is great. And I do have a purple cabbage in the refrigerator, but I decided to use this one instead. And we are going to pair it with some Brussels sprouts. But before we do that, let's check on our onion. Ooh, that looks really nice, doesn't it? It's not sticking, looking good. Now we can continue and let it get a little translucent. But of course, the longer you go, there is the possibility of getting it brown, which a lot of people love, including me. So depending on what you're going for, we might get it a little bit, but at this point, I'm gonna add some fresh garlic. And I went ahead and chopped up the garlic already. And so if you don't have fresh garlic, you can certainly use garlic granulates, or you can use garlic powder. But oh man, I just love fresh garlic. And the smell of onions and garlic together is amazing. Now I'll tell you why I don't add them at the same time is because garlic has a tendency to burn very quickly. So if I let the onions, and I'm just gonna spread out like I showed you earlier a little bit, if I let the onions start a little bit first, they get like a head start, then I feel comfortable to add the garlic and not worry about burning it. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna be adding some of the spices. And I've got some different spices here that I wanna talk about. I have them in this little apple bowl today. But what I have is, and I'll show you this, we've got some paprika. This is just regular paprika. You can use sweet or spicy, not spicy, you can use sweet or smoked. But this is just a regular one. Smoked is nice because it does give it a richer flavor if you really like the paprika flavor. We also are gonna do cardamom, just a little bit of that. And I've got garam masala, and believe it or not, we're gonna put a little bit of cinnamon in here as well as turmeric. And then we're gonna add a splash of black pepper. So let's check this now. We just wanna see how it's doing. Oh yeah, that looks good. And it is starting to get a little brown at the bottom. You see that? So I could add a splash of water, which I might do just to show you. Just a tiny bit, a tablespoon or less. That's plenty. And that'll deglaze the pan. We can continue to move on. Oh yeah, there we go. And I just kind of move it around. And you could add a little bit more if you need. I feel confident that this is good. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add all the spices we just spoke about right in there. Now, when you're cooking whole food plant-based and you're not using salt or oil or different things that can harm you, you gotta be liberal, very generous with your spices, I believe, because that's where you get all of the flavor besides what is naturally in the food. And so I just wanna really combine this well and just let it cook for a minute. So I'm also gonna take a minute and just do a little bit of pepper. You could do it at the end as well. And just kind of wanted to incorporate that very well. We still have our burner on low, looking good. And the next thing we're gonna do, yay, we're gonna add the cabbage. So we're not only just gonna add cabbage, but we're also gonna add some of these ingredients, which I already have cut up. And that is, the cabbage is here. Then we've got Brussels sprouts, right? So I know some of you don't like Brussels sprouts, or you love Brussels sprouts. So you can do as much or as little of each of these. depending on what you want. And then I also have some red bell pepper already sliced up and some shredded carrot. I just have one just to show you. I cut off the little tip after it's clean, and the way that I slice this is kind of on an angle. So if you're looking at it, I'm gonna go this way when I slice it. Now, the reason that I do that is because I find that when I slice it that way, it doesn't fall apart as much. Why is that? Because this stem part, this is a good one to show in the middle, holds on to it. So yes, you'll get a few pieces that do, but you know, that's why I do that. So if you haven't shredded that before with a knife yourself, you could certainly do it that way. So let's go ahead and start adding our ingredients in. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and put the bell pepper and carrot in here first. I love color. It's so wonderful, isn't it? Okay, I'm gonna give that a little stir. Nice, look, look, look. Now we might end up doing a splash of water again, which is perfectly fine. Another thing is having the lid on will allow it to steam and do, you know, some moisture in there as well. Now, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, come on, subscribe and hit the notification bell, and then you'll be notified when I go live or post new videos. I would love to have you as a subscriber. Also, if you're enjoying this, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps me spread the word. And for those of you that have subscribed, I truly appreciate it, and I thank you so much. So now I'm just gonna also add in the cabbage, a little bit at a time, because I got a lot of cabbage. And I hope I had a big enough pan here, but this will shrink down as it cooks. And there we go. Look at this. Look at this. Wow. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? Okay. So now I just, I think I should have used the bigger pan that I was considering, but I didn't, and that's okay. So I'm just gonna try to mix this as best I can, and if not, I'll let it get a little bit cooked and then mix it, but you really wanna incorporate all of the flavors here, all of those spices and everything. All right, well, I cannot mix this very well yet, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna cover it and just give it a few minutes, and I will be right back. While that's cooking, we're gonna go ahead and look at some of the next things here. And we are gonna use some garbanzo beans and some spinach. This is actually a blend, but the original recipe calls for spinach. Now, I know I told you that we were gonna talk about iron. Some of the things that we're using that are higher on iron are garbanzo beans. Now, I like to make mine from scratch, but sometimes I don't have time, and this is one of those times. And so I love this brand, Eden Organic, no salt added. I really like their product. I learned a lot about the company when I went to Ethos Farm, and if you haven't seen that video of the recap, I'll link it above. Check it out, and you can always go to their website to learn more about them. But at any rate, iron, this says 1.4 milligrams or 8% per half cup, and this is a 6-cup serving, so that's really, really good. And then spinach is really good also. Now, a lot of times we need something to help the iron absorb better, and so in this case, we would want maybe some kind of citrus or something like that. Well, we are going to be adding lemon juice, and that's a really good way to help, as well as the apricots. And we're going to talk about the apricots in a minute, but I just want to show you. Today I got this at Costco, and it's just called Power Greens. So it is spinach, but it is also baby chard, baby spinach, and baby kale. Well, you can use any of those, all of those, or you can go with the original spinach. And I'm just gonna give it a rough chop. This is about a cup here. You can use 2 cups, you can use 4 cups. I just wanna get a little bit going in there. And so let's go back here and see if we can stir this a little bit more. Okay, I'm gonna turn the flame down a little bit. Just try my best to get it incorporated. And sometimes I need to move it to a bigger pan, but let's see. Starting to wilt a little bit, so we might be okay. Oh, I can really smell some of these spices. Wow. The garam masala, that I can really smell. It's great, but the combination of all of them together is wonderful. And you do not want to have your flame super high in this process because you don't want to burn the spices that are kind of mixed at the bottom. And hopefully you have a big enough pan or pot so that you can, you know, comfortably stir this up. And see, it is incorporating. It is starting to cook down, and boy, doesn't that look beautiful already? All these colors. I love eating the rainbow. It is truly wonderful for the eyes, for the health, for digestion. Eating whole food plants just is amazing. And the fact that it comes in so many beautiful colors, beautiful ways, is something that I truly, truly enjoy. So look at that, starting to mix up and cook down a little bit. That's wonderful. There we go. So it's on super low. I'm gonna turn the flame up just a little bit, and I'm gonna go ahead and cover this. And let's talk about, let's move this aside, because once that cooks down just a little bit more, we'll be adding this next. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about is our apricots. And I want to grab my apricots here. I have two different apricots. These apricots are the ones that most people, you know, when you think of apricots, you think of these bright orange ones. These are the dried apricots, of course. You can get fresh apricots, but right now I'm using the dried. And I also have these that I get at Trader Joe's. These are called Turkish apricots. They're also dried. The difference in between the two, and I want to take some of these, well, I have some of them out right here. The difference between the two of these is one has, is it sulfites? And one does not. And let me just make sure that that's correct. Yes. Oh, it's a preservative called sulfur dioxide. So I said that incorrectly. It is actually sulfur dioxide. And it is a preservative that helps keep the color. So my husband enjoys the ones that are this color, so we have them. I personally would prefer less is more, and so I'm fine with this. But just a little fact to let you know. And then let's just talk about the iron here. So in this container, which is not full, or this bag, 5 pieces is a serving. And it says that there's 11 servings in a container. And so each serving would be a half a milligram or 2% of your iron. It also has calcium and a lot of potassium, 540, which is 10%, 40 milligrams, 540 milligrams. Anyhow, I just think that that's a really great thing, and that's why we're going to add it. It adds iron, it adds potassium, and all the other things that the fruit brings on, and it's also brings a beautiful sweetness. So I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but that's okay. I kind of just wanted to show you that I am going to be cutting these, and I kind of stacked them, and just going to be cutting them up into small pieces, and then we'll set it aside. There we go. Sticky, yes, definitely. And if you have a dehydrator, which I do, I have the Excalibur dehydrator. It's a 9-drawer. I've done a lot of things with it. I can put a link in the description if you'd like to check out what that machine looks like and decide if it's something that you would like. I've made wraps in it and dehydrated lots of herbs, but you can also take fresh fruit like apricots, and you can dehydrate them and do this so you don't have to actually buy them. And that will also ensure that there aren't any preservatives added. So you can do that. Do that with bananas and tomatoes and all kinds of things. It's really fun. So I'm going to set this aside for a minute and rinse my fingers, and then let's check our pan. Ready? Freddy? Go! Woo! I was waiting for more of a steam. but that's okay. Ooh, it is cooking down. Yeah, smells super good already. I love all the spices and seasonings. And, you know, I am kind of just moving it around, making sure nothing's sticking. And so far, so good. Another reason is because I had the lid on. And so the moisture from this whole steaming process keeps everything nice and, moist and helps prevent sticking. So that's really good. Yeah, and I just want to keep letting it go. Being patient is key. You know, sometimes we want to hurry and get something going, and then we turn the fire too hot, or we forget to check it or something, right? Multitasking, I'm not super good at that anymore. I don't believe I ever was, but I think I thought I was. Anyways, just being patient and enjoying the process, and just enjoying and being right here is something that I really enjoy now. And I hope that you utilize the time to do that as well. And continue to let this cook. And while we're waiting for that, I'm gonna clean up a little bit. I'm gonna leave this here, but I'm gonna clean up a little bit, and we'll be back in a few. So I took some time to clean the kitchen. You know, it really is helpful if you take those little spaces of time when you're waiting for things to happen to clean up. It keeps things organized, and for me, it really makes me feel not overwhelmed. And so anyhow, if that's something that you are wondering about, how do I keep it together? It's because I don't always, but I try to have some organization. And I'm only talking about in my kitchen, because there are other areas in my life that I could sure use some organizing. But anyways, let's take a peek in here. I want to add these to it. Let's see what it looks like. Whoa, that looks good. Let's give it a quick stir. Oh yeah, nice and soft. It's not quite done, but it's getting there. So, do you notice that it's cooked down quite a bit? And we can kind of really maneuver in here. So, when you have like a lot of spinach or a lot of kale or a lot of leaves, cabbage, and it seems so big and you're cooking it on the stove, just know that you just got to give it some time, and it does shrink. So we're going to go ahead and add these other two things that we spoke about already. These are the garbanzo beans that we talked about. If you've seen me make hummus, which I'll link that in the description above. If you haven't, you can check it out. But I tend to like to squeeze off and take these little, pieces of like the membrane or, the little fibers. But I didn't do that now because I'm not blending it. So you don't even have to do it when you're blending. But I did want to let you know in case you've seen me do that before. So look, I went ahead and add the chickpeas, also another high iron and high protein food. And then I have our greens. I could have added more dark greens, but I went ahead and just did this amount. You can always, in my opinion, you can never have too many greens, right? But because we have the cabbage and the Brussels sprout, I thought that, that would be good. So let me give this a nice mix as well, and we're gonna just continue to let it cook some more. Now, the thing about spinach or, these kind of baby greens is they don't really need to cook. Technically, I could have waited until it was almost just pretty much done and added them at the end and just kind of cover it, and it will wilt. And, I could have done that, but I just went ahead and added it now. So don't worry if if it's too high, it's too full, or I don't know, you forget or something. You can always add the greens at the very end, cover it up even without the fire on when everything else is cooked, and it will wilt, and it doesn't take long at all, and it will just be great. I'm covering it back up, okay, rinsing my finger. And so anyways, a couple things that I want to do with you is prepare some parsley. I have fresh parsley. This is curly parsley. You could use Italian parsley. Maybe you don't even have parsley, right? So you can use cilantro if you want. I know some people don't care for cilantro, but this original recipe is calling for parsley. This is a full bunch. I'm gonna go ahead and use half of it. You could use as much as you want. You could use the stems, or you could just use the greens. And look at that, I've got some, ooh, it looks like some basil at the bottom there. So I love this herb keeper, and if you're not familiar with it, I will definitely put a link in the bottom. It's really a great way that helps me keep my herbs from going bad, and I just really truly do like it. So I normally really like to use the whole entire thing, stem and all, which I say I normally do, but sometimes I, won't use this part in this dish, but I don't get rid of it. I'll use it in a smoothie, or I'll chop it up very finely and put it in a salad. So if you're not feeling comfortable about using the stems because, it's different or whatever, just know you can use it in another dish at another time. But I'm just gonna cut it a little bit separately and just chop it very finely and add it when we're ready to do that. Now I'm gonna add this parsley at the end, so maybe what I might do is do the stems now, throw it in there. That's a kind of a good idea. Let me see, I was so efficient, I put away my little scraper guy. I'm just gonna add this in here. This is just something I'm doing on the fly, so you don't have to do this. But why not? More greens, and the better, I say, right? Okay, so coming back here, so anyhow, I'm just showing you that you can take this, roll it up in a ball like that. If you don't have an herb scissor, which I do have, but I want to show you that you don't always need the convenience tools. And then you can chop it if you want it chopped. And it's hard to tell, but when it's in kind of this ball, it's firmer and it's easier to chop. And there you go. So we have that ready to go. And so, I can just do the same thing here. There we go. And so I will save this. I'm going to put it back in my herb container for probably tomorrow or maybe later in a salad. So this is ready to go, and that is ready to go. Everything is ready to go. Let's check and see if that's ready to go, shall we? Oh, goodness, this just keeps looking better and better. Got a little stuck on the lid, no big deal. Let's give this a nice toss. Now you see the steam. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Can you see the steam? I can. I just want to make sure that it's evenly, heated and cooked evenly. Now the garbanzo beans, of course, were already cooked. They were canned. If you are making them, make sure they're pre-cooked, right? We don't put the raw ones in here to cook. You make sure that you cook the garbanzo beans ahead of time separately, and then you can add them. I like to cook them when I do ahead of time in my Instant Pot, and then I make a big batch, and then I save the liquid, which is the aquafaba, for other dishes like hummus or desserts, and then I measure out the portions, and then I can freeze it. So then when I need something, I can just go in the freezer. But I'm out right now because I go through them. So this looks fantastic, doesn't it? Now, let's go ahead and get ourselves ready to, I know I got ahead of myself by doing the parsley, but I just wanted to do that. I was excited to do that. So let's go back to, remember we did the apricots and they're ready to go chopped. We did not talk about walnuts. I want to talk about walnuts. I happen to be using these walnuts. They're organic walnuts. They also have iron in them, right? These are wonderful. So this is 1/4 cup is a serving, and that's giving us 0.9 milligrams or 4% of our daily iron. And so that's something that I like to share. There's protein a little bit. There's a lot of potassium, calcium, vitamin D, and so on. But we're focusing on iron. So I'm gonna chop these. I think that it'll be nicer, and then everybody that eats it, or every bite I should say, has an opportunity to have a little piece of crunch in it. Now you could toast these ahead of time if you wanted to, but I'm not even gonna do that. I'm just gonna warm them up in the dish and call it a day. And if you're watching this or cooking at night, you can call it a night. Oh my gosh, right? Keep my day job. Okay. So you can see that even with greens, with anything, I tend to chop this way and then this way. And that really is helpful to get a nice even chop, make things smaller. You know, I didn't tell you, but with the bell pepper, it wasn't really diced. Darn it, I forgot to show you. But I had cut it into strips and then turned it and just cut it into thirds. So they were a little bit longer, kind of similar to the length of some of the other pieces in here. And you gotta, you know, I like to think about that, the pieces and the sizes and how it's gonna fit on the fork or the spoon. And so also how it will cook. If you have little tiny pieces and then bigger pieces, this one will probably cook faster. And so you can think about that if you are unfamiliar. So I'm gonna get my other scraper. And it's showtime! Let's add the apricots and walnuts. Ooh! Want to do that? Okay, I do. All right, so let's move it all over here. And I am just going to pick this up. Yum, yum, yum. I'm gonna just sprinkle this about all over. Doesn't that look fantastic? We're also going to add the lemon juice. And I just have a little lemon juice. I am out of fresh lemon, so I'm using this pure lemon juice in a container. It's organic and it's only lemon juice, but you can use the juice of a whole lemon, or half a lemon, I should say. And then we're gonna just add these apricots for some sweetness. And then we have one other sweetness idea, which is just a little bit of date syrup. So you don't have to add this. There's plenty of sweetness already, but I'm gonna do that. I think my husband will really like to have the added sweetness, and you know what? I will too. Who doesn't like a little sweet in their life, right? Okay, and so I'm just gonna drizzle. I'm doing about a tablespoon. It's not a big deal. Oh my goodness. And you don't, like I said, you don't have to do this. Or if you don't have date syrup, you can sub it out and you can use maple syrup. That would be fine. So there we go. And now I'm just gonna mix it up and be right back. I'm gonna turn off the flame. Wow, does that look fantastic? I'm gonna bring it over for you guys to see, and we're gonna add some of the parsley. Yum, yum, yum. Look at this. Look at this. Wow, what do you think? It really smells good. I can't even describe the flavors. Oh, but they're delicious. They're delicious smelling flavors. Very nice mixture of seasonings and spices. I really do like it. And so I'm just gonna sprinkle this a little bit on top just so you can see, but I will like to do that also as I plate it. And so let's go ahead and plate some and taste it. Now, you can eat it just like this, or you can put it on top of a baked potato. I have a little bit of leftover rice. You could definitely do a nice plate of rice. Anything. You could even put this nice cooked dish on top of a raw salad. Yes, you can. Or even a bed of crispy romaine lettuce. Yeah, and it would be just wonderful. You can add some hemp seeds or whatever. And like I said, you could just eat it like this. So let me grab the bowl. And so I just have this. We're gonna use, it's just got a little bit of rice on it because that's what we have left. And I am gonna go ahead and plate this. Oh my gosh, this looks good. Whoa, can you see that? I don't know if you can see that, but that is definitely steamy and delicious smelling. Got the beans in here. Woo! Yeah, that is good. Yum. Oh my goodness. Apricots. Look at that. So you could definitely fill the bowl with rice, but like I said, I just had a little bit. We can just sprinkle a little bit of that even on the side there and make sure that it's kind of sprigged. There you go. Look at that. All right. What's left? Taste time. Okay, let me grab my fork and give this a taste. Here we go. Oh my goodness. I got to get everything I can. There's so many goodies in here. Cheers. Mmm. Mmm. That is really good. It is not overpowering at all, except, in fact, it's a very mild flavor. And the sweetness of the apricots really was a nice addition. I didn't really taste the date syrup, so if you want a little bit more sweetness, go ahead and add a little bit more in the big pan and just mix it up very well. I loved the crunch. I got a little bit of the walnut and the garbanzo beans, and so yeah, I think this is a win. So I'm super excited about it, and I am so thankful that you joined me today. Don't forget, eat your greens, come on now, and give plants a chance. They're so good for us. Take care, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.